Hey guys, today's video is a super simple chatty tutorial on this makeup look using a bunch of brand new released makeup products. So some things are limited edition for the holidays and I have specified what is throughout the tutorial. But the reason why today's video is so flippin' exciting for me is because it is sponsored by Sigma, and if you guys have been following me for a while or for any new faces, Sigma are like my OGs. So I've actually been using Sigma brushes in particular since before I ever started social media. So their brushes were the first ever high-end makeup brushes I purchased for myself, it would be like 6 years ago now, and it's just really awesome that I get to now sit down and make this video in collaboration with them, and it's all to celebrate this brand new baby. So this is called the Warm Neutrals Volume 2 Eyeshadow Palette, and guys, it is stunning. As you can see, there is such a beautiful variety of shades. I was truly blown away the first time I used this at how pigmented the shadows were and their blendability. I am just obsessed. It is a really great palette. It's nice and compact, fantastic for travel. It's in this gorgeous cardboard packaging, which I actually really like these cardboard palettes. And all of the details regarding its launch date and the price and everything will be in the description box, as well as some links. And don't forget, because I am a Sigma affiliate, I always have my discount code, which you guys can use any time of year. It is just Hannah, and if you enter that, that'll get 10% off your orders with Sigma. So yeah, let's get straight on into it. So I'm going to start off with just my normal priming base products because I really don't like switching up my primers. I've come to the conclusion primers are one thing I have a really hard time to get along with. So I'm going to start off by using my MAC Fix Plus. Am I holding that up right? Yes, I am. So I always start with just drenching my face in this. And then I'm just going to be priming with my Holy Grail primer, the Too Faced Hangover Primer. And I find this just gives my skin that little extra bit of hydration that it needs, and it just makes my skin feel very smooth, and my foundation always goes on top beautifully. When I'm feeling really oily, I just tend to use my Benefit Professional Matte Rescue Primer instead, and that's just a little bit more mattifying. So for foundation, I'm going to be using my new favorite. It's a Huda Beauty Faux Filter Foundation. I'm in the shade 240, which is Toasted Coconut, and this is a super duper full coverage, very matte foundation, and it is honestly my new Holy Grail. And as you can tell, my face is obviously a lot whiter than my neck, so my foundation is dark enough to match my fake tan. So that is why there's a difference between my hands and my chest and my face. So with this foundation, I like to start off by applying it with a kabuki brush. So this is a round kabuki F82. It's just a really nice, simple round top kabuki brush, just a great basic brush to have in your collection. So this foundation does definitely have quite a strong fragrance. I find that once it dries down, it does pretty much totally go away. Like I can't notice it on my face throughout the day once it's all dried down. But if you aren't a fan of heavily fragranced foundations, just period, regardless of whether it goes away throughout the day or not, then you may not love this. I like to just really pat the foundation into my skin, and the reason I pat rather than buff is because I have a lot of peach fuzz on my face. So patting it into the skin will actually ensure that all that peach fuzz will lay flat to the surface of my skin, whilst if you buff, you're going to stir up all that facial hair, and you'll probably see it a lot more on your face because you'll get all the foundation sort of caked in to that peach fuzz. So that's just a tip. If you guys have lots of peach fuzz on your face like I do, just pat your foundations into your skin instead. Okay, so now I've got the foundation on my face. I'm going to be using Bobbi Brown's new concealers. So these are called the Instant Full Coverage Concealer, and girl, when I tell you these are full coverage, they are full coverage. I actually do really like these concealers, although I have not used them much on social media. My only problem is they're just like that little bit too thick, so I feel like they kind of drag a little bit when you apply them on top of your foundation, like they kind of pull on the skin a little bit. I have two shades. I have Warm Ivory and Sand, and I'm going to use a combination of both because Sand's a little bit too dark for highlighting and Warm Ivory is a little bit too light for my level of fake tanness today. So we're going to mix the two together. Do you guys see what I mean? Like when the doe foot goes on my face, it really drags, and it's because the product is so thick. Like it just does not glide on the skin as nicely as others. I don't know whether that could even maybe be like the stopper pulls off too much product, but it's just like, I feel like it's just pulling on my face. Now I'm using the Fenty Beauty sponge. I would actually prefer to use Sigma's 3D HD blender. If you guys haven't seen my video on that, you've got to watch it. It's actually my all-time favorite makeup sponge to ever exist on the face of the earth, but it's out of stock. And it's been out of stock for a while, so I don't know when it's coming back, but my other ones have had it, so I've had to bin them and pick up some new ones. So as soon as the 3D HD blenders come back in stock, I'm literally buying like 20 because they are so good. But in the meantime, the Fenty Beauty sponge does do the trick just okay as well, but the 3D HD blenders are way better. Just gonna go ahead and use some Fix Plus just over the top of this while I'm blending, because the foundation sets down quite matte and the concealer's quite thick. I feel like a super damp sponge isn't doing the trick, so I'm just going to spritz my face as well quickly. And hopefully that'll just help blend it out a little bit more. Yes, it is. Yay. I let it sit too long on my face, guys. So I don't have any new powders to set my under eyes and my face with, so I'm just going to use my OGs, and that is the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in light and medium. So I start off with light under my eyes on an F35 tapered highlighter brush. So you can use this for like your cheekbone highlight, but it's also perfect to get in under your eyes and set your under eye concealer just because it's so nice and tapered. So just take a bit of that powder and I just set under my eyes. And then for the rest of my face, I go in with the medium shade and I use my F30 large powder brush. And I just set the entirety of my face with this powder. Also, a tip as well, if your foundation isn't quite like the most perfect match for your neck, like let's say it's a little bit too light, you can use a darker face powder to just darken the overall appearance of your foundation, or a bronzer. And then if your foundation is actually a little bit too dark, you can also use like a lighter powder, or let's say in this case, this is a very warm colored foundation. And if I'm feeling a little bit too orange or golden, I'll go in with more of a neutral colored powder like this one here and set my face, and it really helps to balance out the actual undertone of the foundation. So that's like my biggest tip, because I don't know about you guys, but I pretty rarely get the most perfect match when it comes to my foundation. Like quite often it's never quite spot on, so that just helps to make it work. So for contouring today, I'm going to be using this limited edition Smashbox Sculpting Cheek Palette. Now this is limited edition for the holidays, so if you want this, you must grab it sooner rather than later, otherwise it'll be gone. But it has a really nice variety of contour, highlight and blush shades. So as you can see, you've got more of a cool tone shade for your contour and more of a warm tone shade for your bronzer. This highlight actually is insane, this second one. So the top one is like a matte powder, so you can use that for under your eyes and stuff, and this one is an actual cheekbone highlight, and it is intense. It may not look it in this pan, but oh my gosh, it is actually crazy how pigmented this highlight is. I'm not going to use this particular highlight today though, because I think I want to use Sigma's new highlight kit, so I think I'm just going to stick to the contouring shades. Now for me personally, when I like contour, I don't typically go for anything too cool undertone, although contouring is technically using a cool tone product to create that shadow. I still kind of like always use warm tones, but today I'm going to use this one. I actually tried it for the first time when I first did a similar makeup look to this, and although it was very cool and was like a little bit of a shock to the system, it looked really nice on camera, so that's what I'm going to do again today. And I'm going to be using my favorite contouring brush, which is a small F05 contour. It is the most perfect brush to get in around your cheekbones and hairline and jaw. It is just amazing. If you don't have it, you need it. So I'm going to go in with that cool tone shade on this brush first of all, that one there, and just start chiseling out my cheekbones. Now I'm going to go in very light-handed to start with, because this powder is pigmented. I made the mistake of going in a little bit too hard the first time I used it. Now can you guys see that I'm patting my contour too? I find that like if I use a brush to blend, I end up with really patchy bronzer, so I even pat my bronzer into my face. I don't know if this is like how you're supposed to do it, but it sure as hell works better for me. So if you guys are finding that like your powder products like patching off when you're blending them on your face, try like patting them. That's my solution to everything, patting. So on the same brush, I'm now going to be taking that warm tone shade just to bring back that sort of healthy summer glow to my skin. I'm just going directly over the top and sort of blending it out a little bit further. And then using that warm tone shade still, I'm just going to bronze up around my hairline and around my jaw as well. I personally find using this sort of brush as well for your powder contour, it means you don't have to bake if you don't want to, because as you can see, my contour line is pretty cutthroat. So like you don't really need to bake to harshen it up either, because it's already quite intense. So that is that. Now for blush, I'm going to be taking the Ambient Lighting Edit Volume 3. This is also limited edition. I'm just going to be taking this beautiful pinky blush shade. I believe this is the blush in Pure Perfect. So it's this really gorgeous pinky shade here. Now I'm going to pop that all over the apples of my cheeks. I'm using this blush today because it has like quite a lot of beautiful sort of luminosity and I want my cheeks to be glowing. Definitely getting the glow factor, but I feel like it's not like pink or peachy enough for my liking. So I'm going to go back into my Smashbox palette and I'm going to take this blush shade here and pop that all over my cheeks, and I'm using an F10 blush brush. P.S. I forgot to say that. You guys know I love my blush. And I just sort of dusted on the apples on my cheek and then I sort of drag it back into my contour. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump off camera and use my Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil in shade 3. My brows are not on fleek, so I don't really feel like there's any point of me including me doing my brows. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my brows on. Now I'm going to prime my eyelids, and I like to go in with the Too Faced Shadow Insurance eyeshadow primer. This just helps to stop my eyeshadow from creasing throughout the day because I do have quite oily eyelids, so if I don't do it, then my eyeshadows will just end up like sinking into my crease. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that on my finger, and then just using my 3D HD Precision brush, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that and just put it all over my lid, right down to my lash line. And then just going back in with the same powder and brush I used to set under my eyes, I just like to set my eyelids as well. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Now for the highlight of today's video, the Warm Neutrals Volume 2 palette. As you guys can see, I've been digging into this already because I couldn't resist. These colors are totally my aesthetic. I feel like you've got a really great selection of shades. So you sort of have like your traditional warm tone browns, you've got some greens, you've got some mauvey undertone colors, you've got this really beautiful vibrant sort of like deep red. Is there such thing as a vibrant deep red? Does that make sense? And then you've also got some pinky shimmer shades and also like a white highlight shade as well. So you've got a really great selection of colors in this palette. You could definitely create so many eye looks with this. So today I'm just going to keep it really simple and classic because you guys said on my Snapchat and also on the video where I was wearing this look that you really wanted to see it. So that is what we're going to be doing today. So taking my Sigma E40 blending brush, we're going to be going with Toasty first, which is this shade here. It is the most perfect transition shade. So I'm just going to start by really smoking that shade through the crease. Now because I want to do a really blown out smoky eye, I am going to go in a few times with this shade and just really build it up and smoke it right out up onto my brow bone. And I also want to bring it in this inner portion of my eye too, because we are going to cut our crease later. So it's important to have the gradient of shades in this very inner corner part as well. So now I've got the crease blended, I'm going to be taking my E25 brush and I'm going to be going in with this shade Henna, and it is this really beautiful warm tone dark brown just here, and I'm going to start by packing it on the outer corner and just blending it right through my crease exactly where I put that transition shade and just really smoking it out. So obviously this is going to take a little bit of time just because we want to do a really like nice buildable deep brown smoky eye that's really smoked out. So just take your time with blending on this one. And we're just going to keep going back and forth and building it up until we get the desired depth of color. So as you can see, it's like really pigmented just straight off the bat, but it's also super buildable. So the more you blend out a shade, the more it's going to sheer out. So if you want your shadow to be a bit darker, you just need to keep going in and layering it up, and eventually you'll get your desired depth of color. I want really smoky, so I'm going to go in a few times. So now using an E20 short shader brush, I'm going to start off by putting Toasty along my lower lash line, then blending henna over the top. I want a really nice smoked out lash line, so just repeating the same steps we already have on the top part of our eye. Also, if you have lots of fine lines like I do under your eyes, this will help cover them. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of a cut crease. So I'm just using my Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Fair Neutral, so it's nice and pale. I'm going to be using my concealer F75 brush just to blend it out. So I'm just going to go ahead and just pop a little bit of concealer, not too much, just a little bit, and then just start blending it all over my first part of my eye. I feel like with my right eye, I kind of have to like fake the shape a little bit just because my eyes are two different shapes. So to make it like look more symmetrical to my left eye, because I actually have more lid space on my left eye than I do my right eye. So I just sort of bring the concealer up a little bit higher on my right eye just to sort of match the size of my left eye. So as you can see, I've got that concealer down on my lid. Now I'm going to take the shade Bittersweet, which is like this beautiful sort of coppery color. Oh, it is so pretty. I'm obsessed with this, and it swatches that beautifully, and it's just a very, very nice blendable, super pigmented shimmer, and I'm just obsessed with that color palette. You guys know that those sort of coppery shades are like my favorite. So just taking my clean E55 shading brush, I'm just going to press into that Bittersweet shade and just pop it all over where I put that concealer. How pretty does that color look? Now for my inner corner, I'm going to take the Sigma Chrome Glow Highlighter palette. Look how pretty the shades are. So I'm going to be taking this shade Peaceful, which is a really nice champagne-y sort of color, and I'm just going to use this really defined little inner corner E46 inner corner brush just to pop it on my very inner corners. And then I'm going to put that same shade on my cheekbones, and I'm using the High Cheekbone Highlighter F03 brush to do so. In hindsight, I probably should actually use Bedazzle as my highlighter. Whoops. Because this has more of like a pinky purpley chrome reflect, whilst this one's more coppery. But anyway, still looks cute. I'm just going to really quickly pop off camera and just line my lash line and pop a pair of falsies on, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my lashes on, so now I just need to pop some mascara on. I'm just using my current favorite, which is the Mecca Max Isamax Power Couple Mascara. So it has two different ends. You've got one end that's a little bit smaller, that's great for your lower lash line and also perfect for blending falsies to your natural lashes. So that is what I'm going to do right now. So last but certainly not least is the lips, and I'm going to be taking this gorgeous little set from Huda Beauty, and it's called a Contour and Strobe set, and this is in the Bombshell Ritzy little tin. So you've got a lip liner, a liquid lipstick, and a lip strobe, and oh my gosh, is this not like the most beautiful limited edition packaging sort of set thing you guys have ever seen? It's so freaking cute. So you take the lid off and you've got the lip products inside. So I'm going to go ahead and use a lip liner. It's a full-size lip liner, but the liquid lipstick and lip strobe are little minis. The packaging of these lip liners is like identical to Kylie Cosmetics too. So this lip contour is in the color Bombshell. So that's the mini, as you guys can see. So I was going to use the strobe in this set, but it is really quite gold, and as you can see, I have that duochrome highlight on my cheekbone, so I feel like it might clash. So instead, I think I'm going to use Angelic, which is actually my favorite Huda Beauty lip strobe. This is not limited edition, so you can grab this at any time. It has a really nice sort of like pinky, purpley, but still gold reflex, so I think it might just go a little bit better with the highlight. I love Huda Beauty lip strobes, seriously, they're so good. I love them so much because they just pair over the top of a liquid lipstick so incredibly well, and it just feels so comfortable because, as you guys know, I'm not a fan of liquid lipsticks on their own. They feel too drying on my lips, and I find because I have a lot of like fine lines on my lips, when they're by themselves they just look a little bit dry and crusty, and it's not my favorite look. So when you pair it with a strobe, they are just like back to being plump and luscious, and they don't feel so tight, and I just love their lip strobes. So guys, this is the finished look. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Leave me some comments below on what your favorite product was on my face today. And of course, subscribe if you guys haven't already. Once again, thank you so very much to Sigma for sponsoring today's video. And I'll be talking to you all really soon. Have a great week. Bye.